Good morning to everyone out there, and welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy Presents our NBA Fantasy Baller DFS edition for Friday, April 28th, 2017. It is hard to believe that this month is pretty much over. We are steamrolling into May. We've got about a month of NBA action left, about a month and a half or 2 months. I don't know exactly when the NBA draft is, but one thing I do know is that if you started watching the NFL at the Super Bowl, thus far your experience with the NFL must make you think that it is the greatest sport ever. Admittedly, I've been a harsh critic of the NFL over the last couple of years because the games just seem boring, repetitive. But between the Super Bowl and the first round of the NFL draft, there was a lot of action. Something I think we will get to later today in our draft recap video. And I mean, on top of that, I just did want to announce that our NASCAR premium package is available. It is our first premium package being offered, and it's something that's going to grow. I don't want to spend a ton of time going into it, but we've got 8 or 9 different things that we are going to be offering with the package, such as projections, driver-by-driver breakdown after qualifying, course history, track type history, things of that nature, to really help you get a complete picture of what you should do this weekend in NASCAR. So we're excited about that, but we are also excited about the NBA playoffs. We've got 3 games tonight. This is likely to be one of the final 3-game slates, I would have to imagine, to this year. As I kind of figured last night, both Milwaukee and Memphis were closed out, so we know that it should be San Antonio and whoever wins the Clippers series. It'll be Toronto and that I don't know. I don't know why I can't think right now, but regardless, if Boston closes out at 1, they'll take on the winner. Yeah, so looks like the Cavs series takes on the winner of the Raptors series. All right, so the Cavs likely to take on the Raptors here in the next round. But what we have tonight is we've got the 3 games I spoke about. We've got Washington, Atlanta. We've got Boston, Chicago. And we've got the Clippers and the Utah Jazz. To start things off, Washington has a 3-2 lead on Atlanta at this point in time. The home team has won every game in this series thus far. So I think John Wall and company look to break that trend tonight. Speaking of John Wall, I mean, he's still clearly in play here. He's been one of the most consistent players throughout all of the playoffs, so there's no reason that shouldn't continue. Bradley Beal behind him has been really consistent to boot, so I don't see any issues playing him. Outside of that, I'm not on Markieff Morris. I'm not on Marcin Gortat. I think that Otto Porter at his price on FanDuel is trending in the right direction, so I don't absolutely hate playing him. And Bojan Bogdanovic, I mean, he's got upside, and he's hit, 5x 2 out of the last 3 times, and the third time he didn't necessarily kill you. But this game stays close, and they need Bojan shooting, and it's falling. He's got 30-plus point upside, so I wouldn't completely rule him out. On the Atlanta side of things, I'm still sitting here just asking what happened to Dwight Howard. Thus far in the playoffs, he's literally had 1 game that was good, where he cracked 5x value. Everything else has been really, really average. I mean, and this was a guy who was not average in the regular season. I would go on to say that he was one of the more consistent producers. So it's a little bit frustrating to see him where he's at in this game. But because of his pedigree and what he does bring to this team, he can pop off at any point in time, so I don't want to completely rule him out. But the main focuses on the Washington side of the ball have to be Paul Millsap, Dennis Schroeder. Both of these guys can bust up their 5x value. Millsap has done a pretty good job floating in the 40-point mark. Schroeder has not done as good of a job, but it's been close. I mean, he actually has been 42, 37, 41, 22, 47. I guess I tend to weight their poor performances down too much, but that stat line goes to show you that Schroeder is a guy that you should consider as well. Beyond that, I guess you could look at Taurean Prince. He can do enough to help you out, so I don't hate that pick. Tim Hardaway Jr., and just not cutting the mustard right now. And everyone on the Atlanta bench, just nobody does enough to really warrant using them. It's a weird rotation that's kind of expanded probably more than it should be in the playoffs, so I'm going to stay away from them. Moving on to Boston and Chicago. Rondo's already been ruled out of this game. I mean, you know, it is what it is, but I don't think there's a way this team can win. They lost all their momentum when Rondo went down. It's really a sad story because they were very lucky to get in and to be able to knock off the first seed in the playoffs and then go on, you know, to take on a Cavs-led LeBron team who couldn't play them this year. Would have been quite the entertaining series, but we'll have to wait till next year for that to potentially happen. Gotta like Isaiah Thomas, gotta like Al Horford. Avery Bradley, too inconsistent for my liking. He disappears offensively too much. Jay Crowder, same deal. He just really hasn't come through in this series as much as you would think. In fact, he has not exceeded his 5x value tag. He's come close. But I think you can find guys who will exceed that 5x marker. Kelly Olynyk, he kind of remains a potential punt option, but quite frankly, that 5K price, a little too much for me to want to pay up for, so I'm willing to pass on him tonight. And that's pretty much the extent. I guess if you're really desperate, Terry Rozier, seeing some minutes, priced at 2.3 on FanDuel. Probably not a guy who could get you 10x, but do think he's a guy who could get 6 or 7x, so I don't mind going that route either. On the Chicago side of things, you know, Dwayne Wade finally had the game I think a lot of us were waiting for him to have last time out, where he put together a stat line of 26, 11, 8, 1, and 4 turnovers for a 50-point fantasy performance. Price jumped a little bit. I want to say he's in play because the Bulls face elimination, and that's when superstars like Wade should come out to play. He's going to need Jimmy Butler to step it up, which is a weird thing to really say. Butler just kind of been all over the map in the last 3 games, 25, 53, 32. One would think, again, with this on their home court, the team facing elimination, Jimmy Butler should turn things up, and he's seen his price drop even just a little bit to make him a little more palatable. Isaiah Cannon at 2,600. If you're getting 32 minutes in the playoffs at 2,600, I'm going to definitely give you a look. 13.4 points last time, not really the most exciting output. 23.9 the time before. Risky play, but if you're convinced that a lot of the studs are going to go off tonight, and a lot could, because a lot of these games are in finality mode where everybody could close out their series tonight, you know, I think you have to kind of give them a look. Moving on from there, we've got LAC against Utah. Utah going back home. Clip show just is not the same without Blake Griffin. I think they're like 11-13 now without Blake, which is not a horrible record considering you lose arguably your best player, but it just shows you what he means to the team. And not just that record this year, I mean, they played some sorry teams. in that time that he was out. So it's not shocking that there's 11 wins. I guess it would, if you looked at it from a playoff perspective, you could be looking at a much worse situation. Utah, not exactly a team that you can be shorthanded with. Very tough and gritty defensively. Chris Paul on the Clipper side still firmly in our on our radar, but he's the only one that's reliable. DeAndre Jordan has been completely shut down with or without Rudy Gobert during this series. Just looking at his stats, one time has he come close to hitting value. He's in the 30s, but where he's priced at, we need him up near 40. I don't hate it because, again, this is a make or break situation. Outside of that, like I've been saying, Maurice Spates is the biggest fantasy trap there is. It's really sad to say, if this would have been Golden State or Cleveland before that, this dude would be putting up 40 or 50 fantasy point games, but somehow on the Clippers he just doesn't really fit in. Luke Ricard and Mbah a Moute, guy still has, around that 20-point game. And if you need to take a punch shot, J.J. Redick, Jamal Crawford, those are the guys I would look to. And you really are just taking a gut shot, because literally both of them have only had one good game each in this series. On the Utah side of things, Gordon Hayward, just a well-rounded player. Don't mind looking to him tonight. A lot of hype will go to Joe Johnson because he's priced far lower, and he's been putting up some big games in this series. Don't mind that, but I just think that's going to be a trendy play. Rodney Hood at 4K has 2 good back-to-back games. Minutes are finally there. Don't hate the play. George Hill, I like where he's priced at, so I'll probably have some exposure to him. But truthfully, that's going to probably end what I do in this game. I do believe if any game is going to close tonight, or if any series is going to close tonight, it's going to be that one. So thank you very much for joining. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Head over to researchfantasy.com. Sign up for our NBA mailing list. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Research and Win. And join us again tomorrow.